Hello, in this video I'll cover my mass selection experiment that aims to increase the average neck length in my giraffe population. The general idea is to take the giraffes with the longest neck and breed them in the hopes of their offspring having longer necks. Going into this experiment, the broad sense and realized heritability is known, being 0.85 and 0.67 respectively. These values are indicative of the progress I can expect from my breeding program. Additionally, the mean neck length of our original giraffe population is 1.8 meters, with a standard deviation of 0.2 meters. The proportion of giraffes I want to use for breeding must be within the top 10% in terms of neck length. From this proportion of 10% or 0.1, I can determine the selection intensity, being 1.755, and the standardized selection point being 1.282. These values are necessary for determining the truncation point and selection differential. To find the truncation point, the average of the original population is added to the product of the standard deviation and standardized selection point, which gives me 2.056 meters. To find the selection differential, I needed to take the product of the selection intensity and standard deviation, which gave me 0.351 meters. I can then use the selection differential to determine the response from selection by multiplying it by the realized heritability, which gives me a value of 0.235 meters. I can also determine the neck length of the selected parents by adding the mean neck length of the original population to the selection differential. Lastly, by adding the response from selection to the mean neck length of the original population, I can determine the expected average neck length of the offspring produced by my selective breeding. This graph highlights 6 of the previously covered terms that are especially important in my mass selection experiment. The solid line is representative of the original population and the dashed line is representative of the offspring population. From the mean neck length of the original population, being 1.8 meters, I can find the truncation point, which tells me the minimum neck length I want to include in my experiment. So any giraffe with a neck length longer than 2.056 meters will be selected B parents. Next to the truncation point is the mean neck length of the selected parents, being 2.151 meters. This value was found using the selection differential of 0.351 meters, which represents the difference between the mean of the selected parents and the original population. The response from selection, being 0.235 meters, is likewise the difference between the mean of the original population and the offspring population, and is indicative of how much length is expected to be gained from one generation of breeding. This means that the offspring population should have a mean neck length of 2.035 meters. If I continue breeding my giraffes this way, I expect my response to decrease, as increasing the neck length puts greater strain on the neck muscles, and eventually the giraffe would not be able to support the weight of their head, leading to a host of problems that make them increasingly non-viable and unable to survive.